Hi, Sleep Nation. It's Dr Zetoony today. Again, without Dan, it's our last episode that we are recording separately while we each are doing respective summer changes. And it's been really cool to have this opportunity to still keep up with our weekly podcast. And thank you guys, the ones that have written to us and said, oh, I really like the weekly podcast. They tend to be a little bit shorter, a little bit more concise about a specific thing that you've asked us to talk about. And it's kind of fun to have these shorter episodes, but let us know what you think about the shorter versus the longer ones. I've had a couple people unhappy that our episodes have gotten so short, but I tell them they can listen to 2 at a time. And the fact that they come out every week now is very helpful. Also, our plans of getting our book out for May were a little bit curtailed because of these outside things that we all have. And so stay tuned. That's still happening, but it hasn't happened yet. Little fun video today for the podcast listeners and then the YouTube watchers. But we're going to talk a little bit about chocolate and the health benefits of chocolate and also maybe some health negatives. But I want to focus on a lot of positives. This podcast is about how to sleep better without pills, how to not ingest substances specifically to make you go to sleep, but kind of find out what they are doing for your body to try and help you. So as a brief introduction, it is not a surprise that for thousands of years, since cocoa was identified, it's been used for medicinal purposes due to the biochemical effects. Now, we've adulterated a lot of chocolate, particularly in the United States, but also in Europe, to have a more creamy flavor, more sweet flavor, but that's not originally how the natural cocoa plant is. And when you adulterate it with some of these additives, we decrease the health benefits of it, and we actually are decreasing how much true cocoa is in there. The golden rule, identifying that these benefits to chocolate are going to be if you have more than 70% cacao. So if it's less, if you're eating milk chocolate, or there's chocolate that is mixed in with a dessert, and there's a lot of other things that are involved with it, you will get less of these health benefits. So I'm going to talk about the top 3 of the brain and mind boosting effects. So number 1 is the feel-good chemicals. They contain the neurotransmitters and compounds like that promote endorphins, serotonin productions, and anandamide. It's kind of hard for me to say, but that's often called the bliss molecule. It's not as well known as endorphins. These are just like your general feel-good chemicals, and cocoa brings this on. Number 2 is it's a cognitive enhancer, and in the short term, it can improve blood flow to the brain, which is a very helpful effect, particularly if you have blockages. And it's using these flavonoids. Isoflavonoids are also used a lot in other brain conditions and things like tinnitus, and it's very helpful for some people to improve focus and memory. And the third is stress reduction. So we don't want to underestimate how much stress does for our body, both on the good side and on the bad side. So our main stress chemical is cortisol, and the regular moderate consumption of dark chocolate has been shown to lower people's cortisol, and that is generally considered a good thing. Your cortisol goes up when you have psychologic or physiologic stress, and so having a natural way with a food substance to lower that can be very helpful. So moving from the brain to the cardiovascular and physical health, cocoa is rich in antioxidants. It's packed with polyphenols and again the flavonols that they fight oxidative stress and fight cellular damage. They can even outperform some of our natural fruits and vegetables. There's a blood pressure reduction by relaxing the blood vessels and again helping improve the blood flow through the same mechanisms that we improved blood flow to the brain. And dark chocolate can also help with reduction in the bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol, and increasing in the good cholesterol. Now, this is not going to be the same as like a pill to increase your good or bad cholesterol. And this is not medical advice to say, oh, eat chocolate and it's going to fix your cholesterol level. But there are very natural ways that people can improve their cholesterol, like with increasing their fiber and increasing good cholesterol with exercise. That might be things to add to your regimen or use alongside a good diet and lifestyle if you're on the borderline for some cardiovascular disease. Now let's talk about the sleep side. So chocolate is a double-edged sword where it relaxes the mind. It contains these other compounds that work like caffeine, which will bind these adenosine receptors. And in a previous episode, I talked a little bit about caffeine and the adenosine, and how some people really have very minimal effect from caffeine and other people have a significant drawback. And if you're one of those people that has a significant disruption in your sleep related to caffeine, like in terms of coffee, then you may really want to watch the timing of your chocolate. So it contains a modest amount of caffeine, probably the equivalent per tablespoon of a cup of decaffeinated coffee, but it very much depends on both the coffee and also on the chocolate. There's a theobromine. It's a natural stimulant. It's similar to caffeine, but binds different receptors, and it can increase the heart rate and increase mild alertness. And so you can imagine that that would be something that you might not want to add to the time around sleep. Now, when you're younger, so under the age of 40, caffeine tends to get metabolized pretty quickly. And as you get older, you metabolize caffeine quite a bit more slowly. And so the general rule that I'm going to just tell people is if you are sensitive to caffeine, maybe you would like to use the 12-hour rule or a 10-hour rule of the latest that you would like to take it. If you're not so sensitive, you can use it a little bit later. The really interesting part on the sleep side is cocoa is a very good source of magnesium. And magnesium can be extremely helpful in some people for helping relax the muscles and calm the central nervous system down. And we've talked about how it could be a very healthy, helpful thing for sleep. And serotonin precursor is also found in there in the form of tryptophan, which you know tryptophan because it's also a precursor to our natural melatonin production. So these things may actually be very helpful for sleep. So in terms of the timing, it would be very helpful for you to find out for yourself what to use. I have reviewed on this particular podcast, and when other people ask, some of the mushroom cocoa drinks, some of them have cinnamon in them. And people say, oh, well, why would I want to have something with chocolate before I go to bed? And now you know some of the reasons why. If it is not helpful for you, then it is something that you want to limit yourself to having right before sleep. If it is something that is helpful for sleep, it is a nice, tired but not sleepy activity as long as you are not ingesting a whole bunch of liquid that's going to make you get up at night to pee. So you want to work on portion control. And portion control is important because you don't want to go to bed on a full stomach. And you also don't want to have that extra liquid in case the cocoa that you're ingesting is in a liquid form. So stick to either like 1 ounce, or if you're measuring 20 or 30 grams, so that you can balance the benefit from the health side and not have this extra amount of calories that are in there. So there are other foods that are not cocoa related that can be helpful, but chocolate is one of those gifts, and a lot of people see it as that treat at the end of the day. And so if you're one of the people that has been avoiding having chocolate in their life later in the day because of this, but you're not so sensitive to caffeine, maybe it's something to try. It can be a good wind down, feel good type of, hey, I accomplished something in the day, or I can use it while I'm doing my wind down activities. So see if this is something that might work for you. And now you know a lot more about chocolate. Now, personally, I don't love the taste of dark chocolate. And so sometimes if I would like to see the benefits of this, I may make a chocolate sort of drink. And the chocolate drink may include maybe some coconut milk or maybe some water. You can put some cinnamon in it. It oftentimes brings out the taste. And maybe it is that tart cherry juice, again, with more of the tryptophan. So you can make something like a health smoothie, warm or cold. You can see if it's something that you enjoy. You can also have it with your piece of protein. So if it's peanut butter, almond butter, something like that, that could be a helpful snack, so to speak. So we've talked on a couple previous episodes about GLP medicines and how you actually don't feel that hunger. And some people are not feeling deprived like they would, that would make their blood sugars fluctuate too much at night. But other people are missing out on the enjoyment of eating and wanting to add something back, maybe in the evening, that might help with relaxing and sleep and not just defeat the purpose of having these medicines on board. So try some of these ideas for these small snacks so we can increase our amount of protein and muscle building types of foods while we are decreasing our overall intake of food. And there's a ton of really cool websites and YouTube types of videos that I have found very helpful for people on GLP medicines that are eating much more small quantities of food but are missing things that they enjoy and want just a very healthful type of treat at the end of their day to help them relax. So hopefully you found this helpful, and now you have a little bit of comeback to say, if I want that piece of chocolate, I might make it a dark chocolate, and I might combine it with something else that is good for me. Okay? Until next time, we will talk to you next week, hopefully together. It'll probably still be a remote recording, and stay tuned for more information on the workbook for sleep that's coming out soon. All right, till next time, Sleep Nation, have a good week.